Hello, this is Brent again. Good to see you. Welcome back to my living room. Got myself a new cup of coffee and wanted to make a video for you. This time about a subject that brings up a lot of strong feelings in a lot of different people, and sometimes a polarizing subject, but certainly not quite as polarizing as others. And that is the subject of the law of attraction and the laws of attraction, and how we work with them, how we make them work. And so the law of attraction, especially using it and harnessing it to create your life as you want it, it can be a fickle beast sometimes. In that a lot of people, I think, typically would stumble across some of the literature, usually Abraham Hicks stuff. The movie The Secret came out, I think, in 2001 or somewhere around there, and a lot of people watched it and started learning about the law of attraction, and they started to apply it, what they learned from it, and they got results, like really cool results. And then it continued for some while, then it died off, and then it stopped working, and everybody's like, "Yo, what happened? Why did it stop?" And how do I, where do I go from here? How do I keep it going? How do I keep this party going? And so then if you look on YouTube, you would find Abraham Hicks, and if you're not familiar with him, basically a lady named Esther Hicks goes into a trance and channels a non-physical personality that call themselves Abraham, and Abraham just like teaches pretty much just one subject, which is working with the law of attraction, working with the universe to make your life good. And so there's tons and tons of like study and literature on it, and people tend to get really into it. I also wanted to make a quick note going into this video that the video may attract some people who have heard about it and immediately feel a lot of scorn towards it, like, oh, it's not a thing, it's not real, and I can totally understand that. I can actually really understand when like something kind of quote unquote airy fairy kind of woo just kind of comes in. There's often a very instinctual reaction that comes up to be like, no, that's not real. And usually this would be under the guise of calling ourselves skeptics, and I can relate to that because I spent a period of time in my life where I was very, very harsh about what I would consider to be real or not real. In that it's like unless I can perceive it with my five physical senses, it is not real, and it's just something that it's just placebo. It's just something we make up. It's just something we tell ourselves, like a bedtime story to feel good. But what I've also found is that the law of attraction, viewed from a different perspective, you can describe it as the universe just bending and appearing to us according to our most deeply held beliefs and expectations. The beliefs and expectations that we really hold as like our core ideas about what reality is and isn't. And what's interesting about that is that all of us tend to have pretty like well-defined ideas about what reality is and what reality isn't, and what's possible and what's not possible. And like they're so defined that we tend to not even consider them anymore. It's something that we would just make up our mind about as kids, or even just have our parents tell us, and we're like, our parents are like, hey, here's what's true about reality, A, B, C, and you're like, okay, mom and dad, all right. And then you just kind of carry that on throughout your life. But my finding is, and the findings for a lot of people, is that everybody has their own ideas about what reality is, and to all of these people, to every single person, they hold what they see as correct beliefs. They hold what they see as the correct vision of what reality is. And everybody lives in a world where they themselves are correct about what's right and what's wrong, and just kind of putting up with all these other idiots out there with their versions of what's right and what's wrong. And we just kind of like either shout at them or try to convince them or just hope that they'll come to their senses, which is really, to come to their senses is to think how we think. So that's kind of interesting. It's like the universe becomes the fabled elephant and amongst the six blind scientists. You ever heard that fable? Like basically you have six scientists come from North America and they want to learn about elephants, but they can't see. But they eventually make it to India, say, and they go and they like somebody brings an elephant. Like the first blind scientist says, like, oh, feels the leg, like, oh, elephants are like tree trunks, and somebody feels the tail and says, oh, elephants are like snakes. Then they argue. See where I'm going with this? So that's kind of nice, and I think it's really reasonable, really rational to say that the universe isn't actually defined in any particular way. It's very interesting to consider it as you can define it. Like you can take the universe and have a belief about it, and the universe will filter through that belief and it will bring life to you that reflects that belief. And if you doubt that, then ask yourself what you know, like ask yourself if you hold any false beliefs about reality. You don't. So reality, it's very plastic, very, very plastic. And it's very personal. It's we're kind of brought up and raised to believe and see the universe as if it exists outside of us, as if it has nothing to do with us, and we're just kind of like maneuvering through it and sharing it with other people. And we are sharing it with other people, but it's also like whatever comes into our experience, and particularly what comes into our immediate experience as an object, a solid object that exists in space and time, or as an event that just kind of happens and goes. Whatever that is, if you look for it, you can typically find, without too much effort or without too much trouble, you can see how, like, what there was inside of you that corresponded to that event. Like, whatever beliefs, caused that thing to happen. And that applies to great things, and it applies to the negative things as well. So, when it comes to the law of attraction and using it on purpose, when we go through law of attraction literature, we learn exactly this. We learn that we are the creators of our reality, which is probably the most empowering message that can be transmitted. We create our own reality. And therefore, whatever we think about and whatever we choose to take our attention and focus on, we tend to grow. We tend to get more of it. It's almost like if you're looking at a huge plot of soil and it's seeded with millions of different seeds, all individual unique seeds that would produce all these different plants. And there's a fresh rainfall. So the climate is just ready for growth. You with your attention and what you choose to pay attention to, that's the ray of sun that the growth that the plant grows in. And so whatever you're focusing on, you get more of. Now, here's the tricky part. And now we're getting to why I wanted to speak to those of you who find yourself working with the law of attraction, kind of struggling with it, not like it's kind of working, kind of not. There's like effort, but it should be effortless, and why isn't it working? Is that there's the part that where you focus on what you want, but a lot of what a lot of us, what we're told that we should really keep our focus on the positive all the time. And that's great in theory, but we end up with thoughts that come into our head or events that come into our head that we don't like and that run contrary to our preferences. And perhaps even, we would interpret that as the law of attraction failing us. And what we attempt to do is we attempt to just kind of focus our minds even harder and shut out the really negative, bad parts that we don't like. And then we find ourselves sort of clenching up and just trying our best to just stay positive and stay positive and stay positive. And then we start acting weird, and then then we go into denial, and it starts to hurt, and it just gets harder. So we're going to talk about the other part of working with the law of attraction, which is the part where we still acknowledge things as they are. And this part is often very understated. But if there is a thought that comes into your head that you don't like, if there's an emotion that comes in that you don't really enjoy, such as sadness or fear or whatever, or if an event comes into your life that you don't like, very important to acknowledge it. Very important to let whatever is trying to impinge upon your reality, to let it do so. Especially if it has this kind of energy about it where it's insisting. It insists on being in your head, insists on being in your experience, insists on being in your reality. Because if something is in your reality, or something is so, and you are pretending like it's not there, that's denial. And that creates weirdness. And that causes stagnant energy. You're basically blocking energy. You're pushing energy against energy, because the most natural thing in the world, the most natural thing is when something happens, you see it and acknowledge it and accept it as the new reality that's come in. And if you refuse to let it be, if you refuse to acknowledge it, then that's when the pathology starts being created. But if something comes in that you don't like, if you find yourself going down a train of thought that you don't think is productive or you don't approve of, try this instead. Try just letting it happen. Try going down that rabbit hole of thought. Try doing it on purpose. Try sticking with it and allowing these natural processes to unfold. Just because if there's a negative thought that comes into your head, it doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that you're not creating properly. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It doesn't even mean that you're flawed in some way. What's happening is you are being reacquainted with parts of yourself that you've been refusing to acknowledge. And it's really not possible to work effectively with the laws of attraction unless you are willing to bring all of yourself into attention and to accept all of yourself, especially the parts of yourself that you don't approve of. So that would be the inner part of it, and the same applies to your life. Any aspect of your physical body, your finances, your social life, your house, your home, your work, school, whatever it is about your life that you're in denial of, you're not admitting that it's real. It's not possible to effectively work with it and change it until you let it be as it is first. It doesn't mean that you're just going to resign yourself. Oh, this is life, and I'm just going to go with this for the rest of my life. Not like that, but you just say, okay, this is how it is now. It's not how it was. It is how it is, and I hereby impose no shoulds or shouldn'ts on this reality. I'm going to let it be as it is. I accept it now. Okay, you just give the big okay to the universe. Or put differently, it's like God gives you a package. God has been shoving this package in your hands, and you finally accept it and sign for it and let it into your house. And as soon as you do that, the struggle's gone, the suffering's gone. You become aware of how much of the unpleasantness of the situation was actually from your denying it instead of like the actual situation itself. Calms down, and now you have your power to work with it. Perhaps change it, perhaps work around it, perhaps move to a different location, whatever it is. But now it's quiet, now you have your tools, and now you can get to work. Which brings me to the last point that I want to make, which is if you're using the law of attraction and you're doing what I said just now, which is you're looking at your situation as it is and you accept it and you love it and you let it be and then work with it. Please also keep in mind that the law of attraction tends not to work unless you offer action. A big misconception, especially earlier on, one that I've been through, one that all of us have been through, is we expect that the law of attraction, working with it, is all just like inner game where you just ask for stuff and you get it. And in one way, it does work like that, often works like that, but also you are the universe. And in order to really get the juice going, in order to really get things moving, it is imperative that you offer action, that you ask questions such as, what is there for me to do right now? What's here for me to do? What do I feel like I want to make? What do I want to create? Well, what would I just get such a big kick out of doing? And you go and you do it, and not with weirdness, not with a sense of obligation, not with a sense of trying to get money from it or trying to get a result from it, but you just do it because it's time to do it. And then when you will be amazed. You will be amazed at how much more cooperative the laws of attraction are when you start doing your part and stepping up and offering action. So that's all. I hope that was helpful for you, and thank you for watching. Okay, bye.